Good evening. Am I here? Am I live? Are you here? Am I talking to myself? Entirely possible and quite common, actually, it must be said. It is Tuesday, the 28th of November. Can I just say 28th of November? It really is in my head. It's still only about, I don't know, April. Okay, that's where I am in the great scheme of things this year. It's just been a bit nuts, really. Anyway, right, here I am. I am on portrait. I apologise, but as I posted earlier on today, Facebook has now given up doing it doesn't support landscape. Don't ask me why, but hopefully you can still see me. There are my hands, and I'm probably looking as though I'm playing the piano here if I am sideways. Anyway, it's lovely to have you here to be able to speak, because actually that's one thing. I have not been speaking, I've hardly been speaking to anybody because of course Enrique's away at the moment. And we've got Lorna here. Hello. Now again, I will just preface that I am reading this kind of sideways with my neck craned, but I'll do my best. Anyway, yes, so Enrique's away and he's doing really well and he's keeping very busy and I'm keeping very busy, but it means I'm not really speaking to anybody. So this is a treat, shall we say, that I can actually speak to somebody. Yay. So thank you very much. And tonight I have to hatch a penguin. I have to hatch a penguin because it's been so long. No, it hasn't been so long. I made penguins yesterday. Penguin chicks I'm talking about here. But they're just so cute and I am just totally nuts about them at the moment. Just while I see that, yes, so I think, Rachel, you are watching just now according to the Facebook spies. And I need to know if you want your little Christmas mouse, your Christmas tree mouse, to have a scarf or not. I've sent you a couple of messages, but I'm not sure. They may just be falling into a black hole, but just putting it out there whilst I've got you, whilst we're like tete-a-tete. Fantastic. And Helen's here as well. Hello, Helen. Lovely to see you as well. Oh my goodness, it's such a relief to be able to speak, actually. I hadn't realised just how much of a relief it is. But enough wittering. Well, no, there is never enough wittering, but I will witter and work. I think that's really what I have to do. So that you're not just looking at my workbench, as it were. Right, so penguin chick, and it's going to be a Santa penguin chick, but it's going to be a Santa penguin chick with a blue hat and a blue and white candy cane. Now I made some, and Alison's here as well. Hello, Alison. You always come up with brilliant comments, I have to say. Yes, blue Santa hats and a blue and white candy cane, which I had made for Heather, for her little penguin chick to hold, which was definitely worthwhile doing and so cute. I made a few extra ones, so I am now going to make a little penguin chick with a blue Santa hat. It doesn't have to be a Santa hat, but this could be like a little wee willy winky, what do you call them? Nightcap, that's the one. And Sarah's here as well. Hello, Sarah. And thank you for the permission, Alison. Very much appreciated. I shall indeed be wittering greatly. But yes, I won't be able to keep up with any comments that you post as I go along because it's quite hard to see. Anyway, this is a penguin chick. This is how penguin chicks start, which is 6 grams of sparkly silver or glitter silver Fimo clay. I always find it amazing that that's a penguin chick, and I can kind of see the penguin chick in there, which is equally a bit odd. But anyway, so let's get going with a penguin chick. They are just, I loved posting that picture of them on my workbench yesterday because it was just seeing them all grinning up at me. I think that's the fun part of it. They are so cheeky and so cute, and they just make me smile. Anyway, is the camera okay? Is the sound okay? Oh, Dawn's here as well. Hello, Dawn. Oh, and Nick as well. Ambassador, my German ambassador, Nick Valentine is here too. We are definitely bestowed with wondrous viewers tonight, and very much appreciated, is that Tabitha's here as well. Hello, Tabitha, my word. This is great. Oh, do you know, all my favourite people here in one place, and I'm making penguin chicks. Life really doesn't get an awful lot better than this. With the exception, perhaps, of having my husband back home with me. But I am very glad that he's off on an adventure and he's doing really well. And we're speaking like every couple of days anyway, and it means I can kind of work late and I don't feel too guilty. So really, it's all okay. I have never been one to. Oh, and thank you for confirming that everything's okay. By the way, sorry. Anyway, I've never been one to sort of languish at home. You know, like one of these pre-Raphaelite ladies going, oh, swooning and going, where's my man? I can't cope with that. No, never really been that sort of thing. Anyway, I think it's a little lower than usual, is it? I think I might maybe have it a little bit. Oh, in fact, let me just raise you up. Oh, I'm sure there's a song in that somewhere. How's that? That I'm probably in less danger of hitting the camera as I'm rolling everything out. So that's fine. Excellent. Well, it's so lovely to have you all here. But can I just say once again, 28th of November? I mean, really? Like, no. No, that doesn't happen. That's just very, very strange. Anyway, I was originally going to hold the shop event because I'm in the habit of doing them once a month. And I had originally thought about doing one tomorrow. And I am so not prepared for anything like that, which is why I'm having it on the 8th of the 8th of December instead. Oh, I can see, no, I'm not taking to my couch and swooning back with my hands to the forehead and expecting people to feed me grapes. I'm not doing that. In fact, no, as I go home, I usually end up knitting when I get back, actually. So it's and it's fun. I can knit a scarf in a week these days. I mean, I kind of just go home and then I pick up knitting the same way that I come in here and then I'm just working. It's I think I have a bit of a compulsive and obsessive personality, which works incredibly well for the wee creatures and for knitting. So yes, so the 8th of December. Yes, I mean, I've not even looked at the last posting dates for Christmas, but as you know, all the wee creatures, I mean, they're not just for Christmas anyway. But I would do my best certainly to get them out in time. It might be a bit touch and go for overseas, but you know, I'm sure we can all work it out. So I'm just kind of gradually making wee Christmas things. Oh dear, sorry, I didn't mean to be rude. Christmas creatures as I go along. But once I've finished all the pre-orders for the Christmas tree creatures, then I will be able to devote lots of time to just Christmas creatures. And I have so many ideas that they're queuing up, just waiting to get out of my head and into clay. And they do squeak and grunt and squawk, and yeah, they kind of get on at me for not being a little bit faster. Anyway, this is me. There's for all that, like, penguin chicks, they seem quite a simple shape, but there's actually quite a lot of nuanced work to them, if you know what I mean. Anyway, yes, right. So I'm just marking the back of the neck now, because they're always a bit chubby, you see. So they always have a little roll of fat. Because it's so cold, of course, you know, where they come from. And that's their tiny little tail, which just makes me just very happy to have a little tiny tail. And just fattening them up a little bit more. Not for any food-related reasons, though, I hasten to add. See, this is what happens. I don't speak to anybody. So I hadn't realised actually how much Enrique kind of protects you guys from uber wittering. So you're just getting it all barrels tonight, not just two, but multiple barrels. Anyway, right, here we go. So I have shaped, sort of brought his legs out a little bit, and I am going to just mark his legs a little bit not as much as most of the creatures who are standing up. And it's quite tricky actually to get them both in the same place. And having marked where the legs go, where the legs are, I should say, defining the legs, then using my thumb. What would I do without my thumbs? Most of my sculpting is done with my thumbs, which is a bit odd. I mean, my nails, I don't, well, I do bite them actually, but I only bite them to kind of cut them. Oh, this is turning into confession hour. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Anyway, and here I am. Sorry. And gosh, I can't. Really, I wish I could read all your comments, but they're all scrolling up sideways anyway. Yes, knitting is incredibly therapeutic, and it's just, I love the brioche stitch and also the Noro stripy scarf, which is just, it's only scarves I do, I should say. I only knit scarves in the same way that I only make wee creatures. It's just kind of, I found what works for me and I stick to it. So, you know, yeah. There are those of you who have scarves from me, and there may be more that, because I need to get rid of them somehow, because I'm knitting them and I never wear them. I just give them away. Anyway, right. Little penguin chick is facing up. I'm now going to put his face on, which here's one I prepared earlier, and it's just a little heart cutter. Just a tiny one. And this is clay that is rolled out on the very, very thinnest pasta machine level, and I'm now just very, very lightly teasing out the edges to make it a little larger without tearing it. I mean, it really is kind of breathe on it and it'll rip. So and that it's got to be kind of both around about the same size on either side. So that's sort of grown quite a bit. Now, because penguin chicks have, I can also stretch it a little bit whilst it's lying on the glass as well, just by stroking it out. And then if I reach over and get my little pat pen nozzle, I'm just nipping out the central part, the part between the eyes, because it comes down further than the lugs of the heart. Is that the right word? The heart? Do hearts have lugs? You know, these bits at the top, are they lugs? Oh, the things which bake my noodle as I work away here. Anyway, right. Oh, and I'm just dipping into the comments here. Penguin babies tap that. Yes, they are lovely. I think you'd be some sort of possum. Did I ask what kind of creature I'd be? I may have done. I never remember what I say in these things. You are absolutely getting stream of consciousness. Good or bad, I'll leave that up to you. But yeah, I never remember what I say in these things. So if I just, I as you know, go off on tangents and then come back again, or sometimes not. Sometimes I just don't bother working out where I've been, and I just pick up where I have. Anyway, they see total wittering, and totally because I don't speak to people through the day. It's not that I'm rude. I would speak to people if I had people nearby to speak to, but I don't really. When you work on your own in a mill, which has people in it, but they're just keeping themselves to this, having a sip of tea now, by the way. They keep themselves to themselves. They're all lovely and all say hello to them, but they're doing their thing, and I'm kind of in here doing my thing. Nettle tea tonight. It's rather delicious. Anyway, back to penguin face. Yeah, so and then I go home at like about 10 o'clock, and yeah, there's nobody there either at the moment. This is not to feel sorry for me. I've had so many wonderful offers of going to say hello and to see people, and I'm going out for dinner with friends next week, night before the shop event. Actually, this is a first for me. And I'm singing on Thursday and Friday and Sunday, so I'm keeping myself rather busy. That's fine. Right. Face is now on, but it now needs to have his eye sockets pushed in. Now this is where it all looks very cruel, okay? And it's not meant to. So if those are of a nervous disposition, please look away now, because I can assure you that no penguin chicks are harmed in the making of this, okay? Never, ever, ever, ever. And just catching up again. Oh, baking my noodles sounds good. Sounds odd. No, it's a quote from The Matrix, Nick, actually. If you remember, well, I don't know if you're a Matrix fan with Keanu Reeves in it. But yes, when he went to see the Oracle and he broke the vase, and she says, "What's gonna bake your noodle later is, would you have broken it had I said anything?" I can't do the accent, as you can probably tell. So baking one's noodle, I really like. So I think it's kind of the idea that it just makes you think. Yeah, so I like that as a saying. Right, okay, so weird looking penguin chick just now, but instant cute transformation is imminent, so fret ye not. So this is me just trying to smooth out the eye sockets. I'm sure I have made a penguin chick before on one of these live chats. Have I? I can't remember. I'll need to look it up. Anyway, so this is just, he's looking back at me, so I'm actually having to sort of keep turning him to the side to make sure that he's looking far enough forward, and using one of my trusty clay shapers, which is just fabulous, which does deform the head, but that's when you just basically have to nudge it back into position again. Right, and Alison, I shall indeed be rummaging in the eye box. That is, it has to be done every single time we need. So yes, you can expect a good old rummage imminently, actually. Right, so that's pretty much the face done. And I'm just trying to make sure that the head isn't the skull. The head isn't too deformed. And he's stretched up a little bit. This is all done by eye, and it's a bit hard to do when I've got a phone right sort of over my line of vision. But anyway, doing my best, and I hope you can see it okay, even though it's sideways. Right, now before I place the eyes, what I normally do is place the beak. So I now need to cut out the beak, or, well, it's not cutting out the beak. I cut out the clay that I'm going to use to shape it into a bleak. A bleak? What's a bleak? That's some kind of angle, isn't it? An oblique angle. Anyway, right, I am, right, this is the beak. So it's just basically squeezing them between my two fingers. It's very similar to a penguin beak, but it's a bit more rhomboid, half a rhomboid. So it's just, that's the shape of the penguin chick beak, basically, but more diamond shaped. So it's not quite so, you know how the penguins have quite wide beaks? I'm sure they probably don't in real life, but my penguins do, so they do. Right, so penguin chick beak. And now this helps me position where the eyes should go. So I'm not fixing the beak in place yet. This is where I can mark where the eyes go. So need to concentrate now, so I'll just shut up for a second. There we go. And instantly, look. I mean, really, it's just magic. I don't know how they do it, but all of a sudden, oh, it's a wee bit too high. All of a sudden, this wee penguin chick is suddenly going, hello. It just makes me laugh so much. Anyway, right, so beak comes to one side. I will also cut out the feet. The flippers. Are they flippers or are they feet? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, this is just to, oh, do you know, I really don't like it when the clay sticks inside the cutters. It does make my life ever so slightly more complicated, but only ever so slightly, so I'm not complaining really. Anyway, that's one, and let's see if this one comes out cleanly. No, of course not. Of course not. In fact, I'm going to use one of my little clay shapers for this. Right, and just easing out the lugs. There we go again. The lugs of the heart. I'm sure there would be a better word for it, but anyway. And then I'll have to just blend that carefully to get rid of the little indentations. In fact, I'll just do it upside down. So, feet, flippers, paw. No, they're not paws. Definitely not paws. Penguin chicks do not have paws. I think they're flippers, but they might be feet. Do feel free to, chime in on a comment that I will read later, and I'll be like going through and going, yes, of course, that's what they are. However, right, I am. Gosh, this is mega wittering at the moment. Right, what do I need now? The eye box. The eye box is here. Right, 2mm beads, and I'll just move the feet flippers, bottom portion of the legs. Eye box. Here we go. Right. So these need to be fairly small. And I use my trusty bent nose tweezers to find the small ones, and they need to match. And I'm doing this at a distance rather than peering over the top of my glasses so that you don't get the back of my head. That's a likely candidate. And then let's get another one to match. That's too small. That's nope, not a good match. Let's see if that one is. And then it's strange, you kind of got to roll them around the palm. See, that's the one that's too big, the top one, so that's rejected. It's like Wimbledon, you know, when they're all like, the players get given like about three tennis balls, and then they bat them around and they play with them, and then they reject two or reject one and stick one in their pocket and then serve. I don't know how they play with tennis balls sticking out of their pockets, but anyway. That's another witter for another day. Right. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm now just finding the edge of the bead and then dropping it, or not even dropping it, just placing it on the eye socket. Right. Okay, weird alert again. Like, looks incredibly strange. And we just have to have faith at this point that the wee creatures know what they're doing, they know how they want to be, they know what I have to do, and everything will be okay. So just hang fire there, and then without trying to deform the head in any way or the eye sockets, very lightly push them in, but not all the way in. So many rules with quernus, eh? And let's see, yeah, a little bit more, and a little bit more on that side, and yay! Excellent. You can look again, those who don't like the weirdness. And now I'm just going to put a little bit of my extender medium on the back of the penguin beak, the chick beak. And this is I love clay. I love what you can do with it. I love the effects. Because all of a sudden oh, look at him. Look at him. Look at his little face. Oh, do you know, I'm so lucky. I think Jenny's on the call as well. Jenny Coy Cox, who makes just the most adorable wee creatures as well. She's over in America. She's so lovely. And you'll get the whole polymer clay squee effect and just how wonderful it is, and just the magic that happens. It's really quite, it's just lovely. What else can I say? It's just magic. It is magic. Which I think, did I see a comment from you? Yes, Alison, yes. Well, I'm not sure. The quernus magic is the wee creatures. I mean, they just do their own thing, which is lovely. And I'm just making sure that the forehead isn't too prominent. And back of the neck is okay. It needs to come forward a little bit. And then I will just give him his smile. Now, I'm sure I've said to you before how the smile happens, but it's a tiny little indentation on either side of the beak, which helps bed in the beak as well. That's it. And it's quite hard to see, I'm sure, at this distance. But anyway, we now have a little smiling penguin chick kind of going, yee, and he's about to get his happy feet. Well, let's just call them happy feet. That's maybe what quernus penguin chicks have. They just have happy feet. Right. So I'm going to give him his feet now. So let's move him to one side. I'm squashing these flat a little bit, making them more flipper-like and less heart-like. And smoothing out that little bump there where I had to press it out of the mould. And then I'm going to use my scalpel for this. So I need to cut them at a very slight angle as well, because they're going to be facing forward. So 45-degree angle, because he's going to tuck under the body, but also not straight across. There we go. You can tell the bits where I have to concentrate. Wittering is temporarily suspended. This is a good thing, I suspect. Right, okay, and then medium extender. That'll give it a good firm base. And I'm going to slightly curl it without breaking it. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. And then he just half under the leg, half under the belly. And then just black clay gets everywhere. Right, and then the same again on this side. So just shaping in the edges ever so slightly. And then same again, but that can go, 'cause I love it, they do dance. So if I move his foot out a little bit further, then he's kind of he's just doing a wee shimmy. So it's amazing how just even the simplest placement or the slightest placement of the feet or the paws or the beak or the eyes or whatever can make such a huge difference with them. Right, so can you see him okay? How cute is that? But he's going to get even cuter in just a second. Right, so now I need to make the hat. I'll cut out his flippers first of all. So here's a piece of clay that I have rolled out already. So I'll just cut out two. These are also small bunny ears. That's what I use that cutter for. It's a great little oval one. Right, so I've mixed up some of this sparkly blue clay. So it was just, basically white clay with a tiny bit of dark blue, which made this gorgeous, very Christmassy, very festive looking, very cold, Arctic looking sparkly blue, which I adore. I do love making their scarves and things out of this kind of colour. So, right, I conditioned it more or less before, and so I'm going to roll it out at number 6 on my, which is like, the pasta machine starts at 0, goes up to 9. So 6 is quite a thin one. So 0 is the thickest, and 9 is the thinnest, and then you can play around with it in between as well. So this is me, that's done on a number 6, and of course there's just little specks, flob, everywhere there's flob, goodness me. Anyway, right, and then this is my Santa hat cutter, cookie cutter, which I have had for so long and have patched together so many times, as you can probably tell. I think I've had this from the very, very start of Querness, way back in the day, back when I was young, when I worked at Girl, and I can say I was working down Tip Mill, very British saying that, but and I am actually working at Tip Mill now. Anyway, right, that's I'm going to have to cut out little bits of flob from that. But basically, this will make two little hats. It's got some red because obviously I've been making Santa hats as well, and haven't been cleaning my cutters as well as I should. Excuse me. Right. So I'm patting in the edges to make sure that there's no stray frayed bits, getting rid of the extra bits of flob. But the good thing is, because I'm going to cut it in half at this point, I can cut it from that edge of the flob, so that won't actually be seen by anything. That's pretty much half, although to be honest, if I actually measure it, it's never, oh, that is pretty good actually. Oh, that's the first. Normally I'm like a couple of mils out either side, but anyway, right. So I'm going to warm this up a little bit. Just the heat of my hand is enough to warm it up. And that'll make it less likely to break as well. It'll make it much more flexible. So I'm just now going to trim. See how big's your head. This is where I need the hat circumference size of the wee penguin. That'll do. So it's not doing a full quarter. It's not quite a third. It's somewhere in between. And then what I've started doing with these is actually, I've probably been doing this on and off for years. I'm actually just increasing the size of it, so pulling up the point. In the same way that I was doing this with the face itself, it's just lengthening it, giving it a little bit more shape, and a bit more length, and to increase the size of it a little bit, to give it, and it also helps loosen it up a bit more too, as well. It's certainly not cold in here, but it's if you leave the clay sitting for any length of time, then it'll firm up a little bit, and you can see how the size of that has grown quite significantly from where it was. So once I've done that, turn it over, and now I seam the hat. It is just it's making a little cone hat for a penguin. And again, just very, very, very gently pushing the parts, pushing the sides together, using that to brace and keep moving it around so it doesn't get stuck. And just by pressing the two edges together, that creates a seam, a firm seam. It's great. But you have to keep moving it, or I have to keep moving it off the edge of the clay shaper so that it doesn't stick. Because if it sticks, it'll tear. Right, okay. Such a lovely colour, this. Right, so I also put the seam at the back. And then, it's like a little dunce's hat. Honestly, it's just ridiculously cute. So I'm creating an airtight seal around, look, really, just look, it's just too cute. Anyway, this is the Santa hat trim, or the, whatever kind of trim you want to call it. I suppose it's not Santa hat, is it? If it's blue, is it still Santa hat? I think so. It's a penguin hat. So I have rolled out this is actually from yesterday when I was making Santa hats. I had some left over. So it's slightly thicker. This was on 6, I think this was on a 5. And then cut very thinly. And then it's just a question of carefully putting it round the edge of the hat. Now, I think in previous years when I've made larger creatures, I really am going much smaller these days. It's interesting to me to see just how small the creatures are getting these days. Yes, I used like proper proper wool, fluffy wool as the trim, but because the creatures are getting smaller, it's kind of hard to use the wool trim. It's just a bit too big. But if I make any bigger creatures, like normal size, like the old normal size creatures, then I would use fluffy trim for that again. So now I'm just very, very carefully making sure I don't touch the feet, making sure I don't touch the beak, and I'm just shaping the hat rim round the edge to give it a sort of a nice rounded effect. And I have no, I have just realised I've not done a time check for ages. What's that, 25 to 22, 9, something like that. Flob, just deflobbing. Oh, this is just so cute. Like, I can't tell you. Well, I can. Well, I can show you. It's so cute. And the other thing which I need to be careful of, because the face clay is really quite thin, because I've stretched it out quite a lot. So if I wash it too much, then his face fades away. Anyway, right, so we now have... Now, I'm going to just leave it pointing up at, like, I will bend it over in a minute. But first he needs to have his candy cane. Now, here's one I made earlier, right? A blue and white candy cane, which I gave to a polar bear, I think, who had it just works. He had a blue scarf and he had a blue present, and he needed a blue and white candy cane. So I will show you very quickly how to make them if you want, but here's one I made and baked earlier, so it just makes life a little bit easier and a little bit faster. So I'm just going to use a bit of liquid clay because it's polymer clay. It is baked, so it's rigid, but I'm just using this as glue basically. It'll bake hard and create a good join, and it'll be held by penguin flippers anyway, so, and these are the proper flippers. So I just need to basically position it where it's going to go. And he needs to be bending forward a bit. And then just move him to one side, and I just need to flatten one end of the flippers, because he's going to just need to be thinned out and just shaped a little bit so that they're not just ovals. There we go, because they'll thin out a bit towards the tip of it, and then put them close together and trim the edges flat, because these flippers are far too long for this penguin. So again, cutting it at a 45-degree angle, little bit of extender medium, and because it's quite thin at one end, that'll be easier for it, that'll blend in more easily. So this one is slightly pointing that way, so it is that side of the... What side is that? I think I'm directionally dyslexic. I find it very hard to say that's the right hand side or the left hand side. I really have to think about it quite hard, particularly when I'm in the middle of wittering. Anyway, so because it's at an oblique angle, it sits much more easily on the body. It doesn't just sort of stick out and look a bit odd. And as you see, it's easier to blend in as well. So here he's hugging his cane to him, and I'll put another little bit of liquid clay at the top there. And actually this one really needs to be a sideways arm. That's not a flipper, I should say. It needs to be that, it needs to have a flat edge that way. I don't know how to explain that. But it means that because he's going to be holding the cane from the top, so this needs to be coming in at the side. Does that make sense? I don't think it does. I'm sorry. I don't know how to explain that one, but I can show you. So because if I did it with the same angle, it would be coming to the front, but I want it over the top. So the flipper needs to be shaped in from the side, is I think what I'm trying to say. And it just gives him, look at that. I mean, it just makes it so much more expressive. Just the position of the flipper, just changing it that little way makes a big difference. But I find it very hard to explain. I just know what looks right, and I know what makes, I know what will make a difference, but trying to explain it, nah. Need to be better than I am for, I just, it's kind of like, well, it just happens. It just happens. Doesn't it happen to everybody? It's like, no, apparently not. Anyway, so we now have a little penguin chick, very proud of his little candy cane. And now I need to flip over or have his hat bending over, basically. Oh, and I will just, because we've been working with him a little bit, I'm just going to define his little cute tail a little bit more. There we go. Excellent. Right. Okay. Now, because that's an airtight seal, his hat is full of air. Okay. So if I try and bend it over, it's not going to bend. It's just going to look a bit odd. So I always, or nearly always, will put a little air hole at the back of the Santa hat to release the air. And this will be hidden by the bend in the hat when it goes down. But that will basically make it flop much more naturally without being filled with air. Excuse me, and it's all covered, the hole is covered by the drape of his hat. That flips out a little bit. Oh, excuse me. I'm not used to speaking to people. I'll just push his hat in a little bit there. There we go. And then in the morning, I will, once he's baked, I will put a little fluffy pom-pom. Oh, let's just smooth that out a little bit there. And I'll put a little fluffy pom-pom on the end of his hat, or his little sleep hat, or whatever it is. This is a cute penguin, I have to say, a penguin chick, I should say. And I'm just going to sign him by my cane end. My little dag end of the cane is getting smaller and smaller. But I've got plenty more. I may have to make up a new one maybe in a couple of years. Gosh, a couple of years. I'll have been doing Quernus for nearly 20 years by then. Well, nearly 17. Okay, that's not nearly 20, but it seems quite a long time. Right, so I'm just cutting a very thin slice. Because, yeah, that's the right way around. So that will go on his behind, on his bottom, and pressed in lightly. Ta-da! We have a little, oh, he's so cute. He's so cute. Oh, right. Anyway, well, that's me. Thank you very much for joining me. I will bake him tomorrow and finish him off, tidy him up a bit, because there's one or two points that need a little bit more smoothing out. And I'll post a picture, but he'll be taking part in next week's shop event. So have a lovely evening, whatever you're doing, or a lovely day, wherever you are. And thank you so much for coming along and indulging me, letting me have somebody to speak to. Because yeah, my voice was kind of getting a bit croaky. So that's been a huge. It's just been lovely. It really has been lovely to chat to you. So thank you very much for joining me. It's lovely to see you. I will catch up with all the comments when I can actually read them without cricking my neck. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.